welcome back to my channel. It's the much awaited review of this bad boy. Now, any of you who've been following me for a while know that one of my most popular video was a review of this bad boy. And I started really honestly by saying I am not a fan of Dyson vacuum cleaners at all. I find them overcomplicated, I find them quite masculine in styling and the way they clip together and the fact that you have to read all the instructions before you use them, and I'm one of those people that just likes to plug in and go. And so I was really genuinely surprised to fall in love with my beloved Dyson Supersonic Dryer. I couldn't imagine being without it now. I described the other day checking into a hotel that didn't have one, and very few hotels do, by the way. I checked into a hotel that had a really good make of hairdryer, weighty, really good one. I mean, I don't mean one of those ones that's stuck on the wall that just is like somebody breathing down the back of your neck, where you get a frizz ball of hair. I checked into a hotel with a really good hairdryer, and I picked it up and used it, and it was like going back to a BlackBerry or a flip phone compared to an iPhone. It was like going back in time. I absolutely love this hairdryer. And I'm going to say this to you because I have reservations about the Dyson Airwrap. I really do. And I'm going to test, I mean, I've been testing it now for 2.5 weeks, and I wanted to do a really thorough check. You know, the complete system is £450. Is it worth you putting it on your Christmas list? Because very few people have £450 just to drop on a hairdryer. But then I also wanted to work out, was it worth replacing this, and this? Because technically this is around the same price if you add it all together, slightly cheaper. This would probably be about £350 if you added it all together, which is what the other two systems from Dyson come in at, the Dyson Airwrap, because there are 3 forms of Dyson Airwrap. There's the Dyson Airwrap Complete, that is the Dyson styler with every single attachment, and that's £450. Let me check that in the UK, yeah, we've got the prices here. And then there are 2 other sets. There's the Dyson Airwrap Smooth and Control and the Dyson Airwrap Volume and Shape. They both come in at £399.99. So the extra £50 gets you everything you could possibly need. And there are different brushes. It's not the magic wavers that are any different at all, it's the brushes. The brushes for the Smooth and Control are for thicker, frizzier, coarser hair, and the Volume and Shape is for my sort of hair, which is fluffy, fly away, fine hair that needs volume. And they have different strengths of bristles, and I'll go on to explain that. So let's talk about it from the start. I went to New York for the launch of this. I had it used on my hair and I was fascinated. It is a combination of jaw-dropping technology, just throwing that on the floor, that works on the principle that if you fire air around a curved surface, it, instead of just firing out, so imagine the air's here, the air's coming out here, the air doesn't go straight out, it has a tendency to wrap around a curved surface. It's called the COANDA effect. The air comes out of various different slots and then it wraps around, and in the wrapping process it wraps your hair without tangling. No suction, 0 tangling, even with the brushes. That is completely revolutionary. It's jaw-droppingly clever. That's the thing you would have seen on my stories. That's the thing you would have seen on other YouTube videos. That's the one that makes you go. But then there are parts of this that are just not quite there. And I'm going to be really honest with you about this. And it's because it comes from Dyson, and it has set the standard so high, and this is so intuitive to use, that if you suddenly get a Dyson gadget that's more money and it's not quite as intuitive, something in your brain says, ugh, I don't know. Let's go through it. This is the basic unit. In fact, it comes in a box. Can I just say, I hate these boxes. Nobody in their right mind is ever going to travel with this box unless you are a professional hairstylist, and it's heavy and it would take up a third of your case. So let's be honest here. Why it just doesn't come in a Ziploc, black velvet, pink velvet, grey velvet? Why make it look heritage? I don't know. This one's personalised, it's got MB on it. That means it's a gift, and I'm still about to look a gift horse in the mouth. But that's my job for you. Okay, so this is the basic wand. Why is it bigger than this? This is the perfect size. It fits in your hand perfectly. This one weighs less because it doesn't have the attachment on it, and it's, to me, it's too large. And I tell you why it's too large, because here, this is the perfect size for waving your hair. You add this on, very easy, they all click in, and then you push this button here to release them all. Every single one goes in really easily, like that. By the time you've got this, it's like a lightsaber. It needs to be that size with the attachments on it, because that's the size that we're used to using. This is what we used to do from a hot brush. It's, to me, a big leap to make you use this. Your arm is lower. So for a start, that's too large. It needs to lose 3 inches. And I don't say that about many things. Sorry. Apart from that, it's got exactly the same settings. So 3 speed settings, 3 heat settings. And it's got a very clever on-off switch that goes on, off, and then you push up for a cool shot. And the cool shot is important with this because it's not a sudden cool shot, but it does have a cool shot. And if you're going to try and get a long-lasting curl, you're going to need to learn to use this cool shot, because this has been set to never overheat your hair. Now, GHD deliberately don't have heat settings because they worked out the principle that 180 degrees is the optimum temperature to style your hair without scorching it. Lots of other gadgets, lots of the Babyliss gadgets, they go right the way up from 150 to say 220. They let you stay in control. This takes the heat control out of your hands because essentially they don't trust people like us, GHD. They're very clever because they know I will just whack it on full. I have never used this on anything less than full heat and full power, and it's brilliant. I love it. My hair is in much better condition. It genuinely is, because I've used less heat on my hair. The thing is, what I'm doing with this is I'm using a lot of tension with my beloved YS Park brush. So, on, off, cool shot, 3 speed settings, 3 heat settings, 3 speed settings, and that's my Dyson on the floor. You'll recognise this if you're a Dyson fan, because this is the shape of the air conditioners, air units they have. And look, it's taken me so long to set up for this that my hair is 80% dry anyway. And actually, did I want to show you what my hair looks like if it is 80% dry? This is the point at which I'd start to style my hair. This is what I'm dealing with, look. I've probably never shown this to you before. Look, this is what my hair looks like. So annoying. It's just not really wavy, not really straight. It's, I mean, I guess I would have peaked at the time of Janis Joplin, wouldn't I? Look, so annoying. It needs a Brazilian blow dry again. So what you do is you use this on damp hair. You dry your hair with this first, and you get it to 80% damp, which is when you start to style. I'm just going to show you. The roots are still slightly damper, and I'm going to show you how this works. So on. Now, what I'll say about this is it's powerful. It feels very similar to the Dyson, but it has less control because obviously it doesn't have nozzles on it. If you look at your Dyson, it has a choice of 2 different nozzles and a diffuser. This is more of a generic, you would rough dry your hair with. That comes off. And then obviously what I want to do is I need to smooth my hair massively first before I even put a wave into it. And there are 3 ways of doing it. There are 3 gadgets that come with it. There's this, which is basically the equivalent of YS Park. It's the full circle bristle brush, and I'm going to use it to try and straighten my fringe, and I'm pretty sure it's not going to do a very good job, and that's because this is wiry and catchy, and it drags on your scalp, and this is old school boar bristle and nylon, but obviously this can't live up to the heat, the constant heat that this is under. Now, the Dyson, by the way, is set at around 150 degrees. It's got the same sensor technology, it's got the same engine in it, so it reads the temperature, so it never overheats your hair. Now, this is the thing. I spoke to a hairstylist recently that was given this months ago, and he said he cannot get a long-lasting wave out of this. It simply doesn't get hot enough to give wave to all hair types, you know, whether it's thick, gorgeous. In fact, another model I spoke to who took part in a shoot for this, and she's absolutely beautiful. I would imagine from her name, and I won't say her name because it's not fair that I quote people here. I imagine from her name that she's either Indian, Sri Lankan, Southern Indian, I suggest. So as a result, she's got dream hair. Beautiful, thick, straight, gorgeous hair. And she had a hairstyle. She's one of those people that only washes her hair twice a week. And she said that her hair dropped out within a day. Of all the beauty editors that went on the trip for this, it was a very, very, very humid day, but not many of the editors' hair kept the style that it was styled with. Anyway, let's do my fringe. And I'm actually going to start by... All right. So this is what I do. I take a section here. This is what I would do with my hairdryer, with my beloved Dyson and my YS Park. Now, I have to say, from my experience, this gets quite hot. Certainly gets as hot as the Dyson Supersonic. Now, the thing about this brush is, which I would use, I couldn't resist it, did you see that? Is it's deliberately designed with the ball bristle to smooth the cuticle of the hair, okay? So, it's done an okay job. In fact, let me part it and show you what it looks like. I mean, that's okay. That's pretty good, right? But let's move it to one side, because what I would do is I would then get rid of all of the horrible kinky bits in here. And the way I would do that with this brush is to bend it and turn it. So I'm going to attempt to, in fact, I'm going to move on to the smoothing brush. Let me show you how the smoothing brush works. Okay, so take this off. This is still quite warm. It does get quite hot. And actually, do you know what? On hair like mine, which is fine, fluffy, prone to frizz, it works quite well. It's about getting your mind around the way the different gadgets work, and it's a lot of gadgets to get your head around. This is more of a Dyson vacuum cleaner technology than the intuitive way that the Dyson Supersonic works. Okay, so there are two brushes that come with it. This is the one for coarse hair, which I wouldn't use. Now, this is very interesting. The bristles move. Each of the sections move, and they do that because they want to move with your hair and encourage that COANDA effect for the air to come out of these gadgets and turn. Okay, so I wouldn't use that one. That's not for my hair type. I would use this one. It's softer, it's more flexible, and each little, you can feel they're much softer. Each little bristle has got a tiny little pink ball on the end, so it's more gentle on your scalp. In. They go in really easily. There you go, they go in really easily. It's really intuitive. Sorry, this has got my hair in it where I've been testing it. You see, it's designed to smooth your hair. In fact, I'm going to smooth my entire hair now with this brush before I add a wave. And I would do this normally when I'm rough drying my hair. If I rough dried my hair properly, it wouldn't be as wavy as this. So bear with me, but it does give me the opportunity to test every gadget for you. I'm going to have to do that fringe again. Sorry. Let me try smoothing it this time. Now, see, here's the thing. It feels clunky. And it doesn't feel expensive, this brush. That brush does not feel expensive. Even the moving of it doesn't feel expensive. I'm starting with the downsides of this gadget because ultimately, I don't think they should have created a hot brush. The hot brush should have been a totally separate section of gadgets that they launch later. They should have just launched with the Airwrap Stylers to begin with, in my opinion. Sorry, James, I know you're the multi-gazillionaire and I'm the vlogger, but this is what I think. So, if I was to blow dry my hair my normal way that I'm wearing it at the moment, just colour my hair. If I was to dry my hair the normal way I'm doing it at the moment, it would be done like this. I've got a bit of a kink at the end, and that's done a relatively good job, but it hasn't done a better job than that and my standard Dyson dryer. So if you were looking to buy it as a hot brush, I would say don't do it. Too large, too clunky. I don't like the feeling of the brushes. They don't feel expensive. That is one hell of a lightsaber, right? You kind of want to hold it here. There's 2 or 3 inches going on here that I'm sure is essential to the way it works, but it needs to be more compact. It just does. Let me get my Dyson off the floor again. It needs to be smaller. It's too long and unwieldy and difficult to use. And that's a little bit unforgivable of it for me, right? So there you go. That's smoothed my hair really nicely, hasn't put a wave in the end, but that's because I would leave that in my hair for a few seconds, normally tucked under a top like that, while it cools. Now, I didn't use the cool shot on that. Maybe if I'd used the cool shot, it would have set it at the end. In fact, let me test it, shall I? Cool shot. Takes a long time to cool down, that cool shot. Still warm. Still warm. Is that a cool shot? Finally getting cool. Still not cool though. I mean, it is a nice subtle wave, but I'm not sure that would hold in my hair. In fact, it hasn't. Look, it started to drop already. That's my review of the brushes, but that isn't the genius of this kit. Sorry, they should have launched it without these brushes. Do we really need another hot hairbrush when Babyliss are already doing this sort of thing brilliantly? Do we? I suspect not. Right. I'm now going to damp down my hair, and I'm going to show you what is truly, truly genius about the Dyson. And this is jaw-droppingly clever. So here we are back again with what I would call 80% dry hair. Obviously you saw me dry my hair before. The fringe is relatively straight now because I wouldn't wave my fringe anyway. And I've just spritzed some water through it. Now, here's what's clever about this entire kit. And this is next generation crazy clever. It's the Stylus. There are 4 of them, and you think, oh, are there 4 different sizes? And this is both the good and the bad of this. So there are 2 sets of stylers, one at 40mm to give a softer wave and one at 30mm. And the reason that there are 2 40 and 2 30 is because there are 2 for the left-hand side of your hair and 2 for the right-hand side of your hair. And if you've seen anybody using this, not reading the instructions and doing, because this is how we all use a tong, right? You use one tong, you use it that way, and then you use it that way. And if you use this gadget that way, it's not going to work. It's not instinctive. You've got to read the instructions, okay? So the arrows on them show the way the hair will wrap. So this one, for example, will wrap my hair that way. This will wrap my hair that way. The arrows show them clearly. I doubt very much whether I'd use the small one because I don't like a tight wave, but I'm going to show you how they work, okay? So this is what you can't do. You have to dry one side of your hair first. Then you switch the gadgets and the heads, you dry the other side. Here's the larger 40mm for the right-hand side of my hair. I hope that the weird way things film doesn't reverse this back for you. I'm not obviously going to bother setting the heat or the speed. I'm just going to go for it. Okay, now I have super fine hair. Super fine hair. You've seen me blow dry my hair many times before on my videos. I don't need to take large sections. Cool shot. The cool shot takes too long to cool down, by the way. See that? Now, bearing in mind my hair is super fine, okay? Now, it will grab as much hair as it can. If you try to put too much hair in it, it will only grab part of the hair. There's only so much that the COANDA, the effect of that air wrapping around, will carry up. Now, with my hair, it takes quite a lot of my hair because my hair is fine and weightless and annoying and floofy and all those things that I've talked about. If you've got thick, straight hair, you might want to think twice before buying this. You can pull it out, pull it back in, pull it out, pull it back in. Zero drag. Zero drag. Cool shot. And down. I think that's pretty curly for me, right? I can't imagine who would use the smaller ones. I really can't. I mean, maybe actually if you've got thicker hair, you might prefer that look. Now, this is interesting. I would normally wave my hair in 3 sections, but I'm going to have to use more sections. It doesn't take chunky sections. It simply doesn't have the power to take large sections of hair. What you do is you basically turn it on, you put it halfway down your hair, and it will wrap it automatically. Now you see some of that fell out. You can take it as close to the roots as you want. I mean, I would never curl my hair this much, I have to say. This is super curly for me. Now, I am now on section, a lot. What am I on? Section 5. I would have done this in 3 sections with a heated tong and got a much more chunky, beachy look. It's harder to control the effect you want with this. And that's what a lot of hairstylists are saying. It won't take a lot of my hair, even my hair. Now that is super close to my scalp and it's not getting hot. I mean, it's warm, I can feel it, but it's not like, you know, when you go to the hairdresser, sometimes they blast your scalp and you're like, ah! None of that is going on because it's doing that constant sensory check of making sure it's not too hot. Now, at this point, I'm like, how many more sections do I need? Seriously, I'm on my 6th section now. That's twice as many as I would normally do. But I guess you're working on the principle that you're drying your hair as you're styling it. And so maybe taking twice as many sections would still take the same amount of time. Let's do the other side. Remember, unclick. Oh, that's quite warm still. Put the new one in and go for it. You don't need to hear me talk about this. I'll fast forward this. It's quite haphazard. You know, when you create a curl with a wand, it's about controlling it. It's about smoothing it. It's about clamping it down and controlling it. This isn't doing this. The mere fact that wind is involved means there's less control. I feel like it doesn't get rid of the frizz out of my hair in the same way that the traditional dryer and GHD would, because the GHD is set just 10, 20, 30 degrees higher. enough to smooth the hair, and the titanium plates do smooth your hair. You can move the tong up and down, it smooths the surface of your hair. Let me get back to this. Did you notice there was a super wet bit of hair mixed in with there? Because obviously your hair doesn't dry evenly, and it wouldn't pick up the super weighty wet bit of hair. I just can't imagine how this would work on very, very, very thick, damp hair that was weighty, the sort of hair I dream of having. I just don't know if the COANDA effect would be strong enough to pick up a really heavy section of hair. There is literally zero chance of you burning your scalp or burning your hair with it, which I do like. I feel in that way it's idiot proof. This damn stubborn bit of wet hair does not want to be COANDA'd. So there it is, all waved. I mean, it's actually quite Melissa Oderbash. Do you know when I did a tutorial with her, she taught me how to tong my hair, and it's much wavier than I would normally do, but then there are sort of strangely straight sections in the middle of it. Let me change that head over. Actually, let me try doing it upside down and see if it works. I'm going to be naughty and break the rules. It does. So you could technically use that and then turn it that way. The problem is, because if you think about it, it's then waving the other way, it's blowing the other way, but then the problem is you couldn't then go back in like that. It's remembering to change the head, which is, again, it's just not the way that women use their hairstylers. It really isn't, is it? You know, we bodge along, don't we? We try to get by. We're not ambidextrous. We use one hand and then we sort of twist and turn it. That's just what we do. That's why this is, in some ways, jaw-droppingly clever, and in other ways, jaw-droppingly annoying. It's an interesting look, isn't it? Is it a look I like? Well, what do you think? You tell me. Is it better? Is it worse than my normal look? I mean, I'm not really waving my hair much at the moment. I feel it's, look at that, it's annoying. It's hit and miss. It's hit and miss. It's like the gadget, it's hit and miss. And I wanted to love it. Now this is the thing. I didn't want to like the Dyson Supersonic, and I loved it. I wanted to love this, and I like it, but with reservations. One, the wand needs to be smaller. It's too unwieldy. Two, it should have just launched with this. This is what's clever about it. This is what's really, really clever about it. And if it was slightly smaller, and I suspect just went 10 degrees hotter, this would be genius. Absolutely genius. I mean, it is genius. It is really, really clever. This is like somebody said at the last minute, but if we're going to take on the hot brush industry, we might as well just take it all in one. And there are already great brushes out there. There are already great hot brushes out there. I really, by the way, these are cool tips, which is really clever, so that you can touch them straight away. You don't risk burning yourself. I don't like the feeling of that. And these are just not really going to smooth your hair that well. The way you smooth the cuticle of your hair is to direct the heat down the shaft of the hair, so that essentially you brush down, you aim the heat down, so that all of the cuticles that are like little shingles on a roof all lay the same way. If you put air into your hair and it blows in different directions, you're never going to smooth the cuticle the same way as using a hairdryer with a nozzle on that you aim down the shaft of your hair, which is how we should all be drying our hair. Mixed reviews. And I'm sorry it's taken me 3 weeks of testing this to come back and tell you. But I needed to be honest with you because this is a lot of money. Now what's interesting is they haven't launched that kit, which is what they should have done. They should have launched just that kit, the hair waving kit, the hair styler kit. You either have that, they all come with this, with that brush or that brush. So that means each one of these heads is worth £50. And I'm saying this, I don't get. And this is a missed opportunity because this could have been amazing and it just needed to be smaller, easier to use, and slightly more instinctive in the sense that people should realise that we don't do that and then do that. We don't. My left hand is useless. I style my hand with the right and then I turn and do it that way, which technically you can do, but the air is sort of going to mess up the previous sections. So this is my review. This is still better than all of that. And if you add up this, it's a slow, steady process of buying each one. But if you've already invested in this, I wouldn't make the leap to that. Because the chances are you've already got this, haven't you? I'm sorry, Dyson. I really, really, really wanted to love it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Have you tested it? What did you think? Are you getting on with it? Yeah. For me, it's a hit and a miss. In some ways it's incredible, and in some ways it's just clunky and old-fashioned. And for me, it feels like the person that created it also created the Dyson vacuum cleaners, which I find I have to read all the instructions before I can use, and I didn't have to read the instructions on that. I picked up, it was instinctive, it was brilliant. It's without a doubt the best hair dryer ever created. I wouldn't give up my tongs, I wouldn't give my brush up, and I wouldn't give up my Supersonic for that. Thank you for watching, thank you for subscribing. Let me know what you think if you've ever tried one, and let me know if I've swayed your opinion, because that definitely needs to be less Luke Skywalker and more layer friendly.